several of us trying to tell folks in the Senate that there was about to be a train wreck, and there in fact was a train wreck. In fact, I was almost surprised that the train wreck wasn't worse than it was, because the pressure had built up so intensely by the time we came to the 83rd session. It was already intense in the 82nd, and at one point we passed an amendment that basically said we're going to do away with all testing. There was that much pressure politically on the House side, and of course the Senate wouldn't ever let it come to committee hearing. It began to be obvious that this was a train wreck. We were hearing from, mainly at that point, education people. It was not broader than, it had not extended to the moms, and so much at that point it had the education professionals who were coming to me and said, oh, by the way, if we continue on this course, huge numbers of kids are not going to be able to stay in the system. The juniors are just problematic because they are the class that has not had the advantage of anybody seeing the test to teach their courses carefully aligned to the tests. Now, we always talk about teaching to the test. Well, there's no doubt people teach to the test. I mean, that's almost a given. But they haven't had the advantage of teaching to the test. They've had what was going on previously, and now we're going to test them in an environment that probably was not well aligned with that test. At least the teachers didn't know which parts were and which parts weren't aligned with the test. And so that particular class, I think, will pose problems to us in this bubble that goes through. Can we do anything about it? I doubt that the commissioner has the legal authority to do anything about it, and we won't be in session in time to do anything about it. I tell people I got a pretty good handle on the problems. What I'm looking for is solutions. I think we can all sit around and say, well, you know, we got 51% of our kids are Hispanic, 60% of them are in poverty, a third of them are requiring remediation. You can just go on and on and on about the dilemmas that we have. But the question becomes, what are we going to do about it? And that's the sort of things I'm looking for. And 5 was our best attempt to actually do something to move the needle, hopefully the right direction. I realize Sandy Crest thinks that testing needs to be ratcheted up, and if you make it rigorous enough and hard enough, that he'll eventually beat you into education. And there are people that think that a particular course, like Algebra 2 or World History or some particular course is a mecca for, or definition for being well educated. And I think in today's world we just have to look at more breadth to education than that we are a very technically driven world, and some people are going to be very technically driven, and some people are going to be very philosophically driven, and some people are going to be very skills driven, and it's going to take some of all of the above. And I don't think there's any one perspective that summarizes education anymore. You know, classical education 100 years ago involved Latin and world history and world geography and all those things that we still treasure. But do they define education in today's world? Probably not as clearly as they did years ago. Part of what I want to try to do as far as moving forward is give districts a little breathing room to try to make things work and to make things work out for them. And notice that the bill gave a great deal more local flexibility than has historically been the case in modern times in the education circles. And that in itself has caused a little consternation, because there's been clarity in recent years. The state agencies, you will do this and you will do it this way and you will report it like this. And so there's been a little bit of a frenzy almost in the schools saying, well, we don't have directives on how to do that. And so it's going to take a little getting used to running their own shops to some degree. Be careful what you wish for sometimes.